Hey everybody, I am excited to show you today a cool way to make plot booklets that you can carry with you in your purse. They're super lightweight, they are easy to carry around, and they are pretty easy and super affordable to make. So let's get started. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is show you an idea that I got from another YouTuber who actually does a lot of YouTube videos about study notes and how to make your study notes look nice. So I will give credit to her. I can't remember her name, but I'll try to put it up on the screen, and I will also link that down below because this is where I got the idea. But instead of making study notes for school, what I decided to do was make plot notebooks so that I could carry the plot of my novel around with me and all of my main notes. Now, I know that there's tons of different ways that you can keep this sort of information in your phone. However, when you're trying to stay off your phone because it's super distracting, like Facebook, you sometimes don't want to have to open up your phone because you know you're going to see those notifications like bling, 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 and you're going to get distracted and you're not going to get your writing done. Now, if you're like me, I like to go out to like Barnes and Noble or Panera or local coffee shop here and write, but I need my plot notes with me, and I have so much stationery I could easily just carry like giant notebooks with me. So instead of carrying those gigantic notebooks that are going to hurt your back like you were in college again, I'm going to show you how to make this super simple, affordable plot notes booklet. So here we go. What you need to do this, it's not very many things. All you need are note cards in the size that you want. And I actually did not even measure these out, but these are the really big ones. So this is like the 3x5. So you can see this is so much bigger. So I would say this is probably more like 5x8, probably. That's my guess. So these are probably 5x8, but again, I'll link those down below. You can get either size. So if you want like a super tiny one, you can use this. But I find that I've got so many notes that there's no way I could fit everything, even if I was writing super tiny. So I like to get these packs, and you can get them pretty much anywhere, but I will leave a link to where I got them on Amazon in the description box. All you need to get started are the 5x8 note cards. Then you need some kind of pins. I like to use things in varying colors so that you can mark either, if you're writing multiple points of view or you want to mark out different sides of the story, you can use different colors of markers. So I'll tell you kind of what I use for that. You also need some kind of fine point pen. I find I have several that I like to use. Probably my favorite is the Pigma Micron pens because they're super tiny little point there, and that you can write really small, but you can really use anything. You can use felt tip pens, which are my preference and my favorite because they've got such small tips here, but you could also use a ballpoint pen or gel pen or whatever you want to use. It just needs to be really small. Like you don't want to have the like 0.7 or above because you're going to start getting too big on your writing and you need to get a lot of stuff in here. So any of those kinds of pens will work. And like I said, markers in various colors. Then you're going to need some washi tape. And if you're doing just one point of view, you can just use one color washi tape. You can use lots of colors. Really, that kind of stuff doesn't matter, but you're going to need some kind of washi tape to get started. Now, what I like to do is I have a different color assigned to each one of my characters in my Shadow Demon series, and I write 4 points of view in that series. So Harper, my main character, and all of my notes is purple. So I've got a couple pages with a purple washi tape. Jackson is blue, so he's got navy blue washi tape there. Then Leah is green, so you'll see a couple sheets of hers. And then I've got red for Airden, and there's a couple sheets there. Then at the end, I have this sort of black roses, which if you have read any of my books, you'll know the roses are significant. So I just used that pretty washi with black roses, and I'll show you what I do with those last couple of pages. Now, if you're just writing one character, you could get by really with probably just these 2 pages and then the scenes list pages at the end. But since I'm writing multiple characters, I've got multiple pages. And I like to keep everything color coded so I can tell at a glance kind of who I'm dealing with and what page I'm on, but you can do it however you see fit. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and make one for the book that I'm working on right now, which is called Sacrifice Me. And I have two different colors of washi because I have a male character and a female character. So I'm just gonna say my female character is pink, my male character is gonna be navy blue. So I'm gonna use those. Then I found in my stash these Crayola Super Tips. If you guys haven't used these Super Tips, they are actually really cool. They've got the regular tip, but they've like a pointed tip, but then they kind of branch out. I don't really know how to describe that, but I saw a lot of other YouTubers using these to do sort of like a faux calligraphy. Oops. And I just thought, why not pick them up? Because they're actually like, you can get a jillion of these for less than like $10. So I thought, let's pick up some of those. But you could also use, some of my favorite markers are the Staedtler, I forget what they call these. They're not the Tri Plus FINELINERS, but they're like the dual tip Staedtler markers, and their marker tip is very much like the Crayola Super Tips. Sometimes I also use the Tombow dual brush markers, and I'll use the brush side to color code. And I also have the Zebra mild liners, which also are dual tipped. So these are kind of fun sometimes to add color to your notes. It doesn't really matter, just if you have something that has kind of a thick tip on it, that makes it, you know, kind of nice. So I'm going to use the navy blue and the pink Crayola Super Tips, and I'm going to use a fine point pen. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the Sharpie pen, which is a felt tip pen with a finer point, and I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. So this is all I'm using to make this, and I'm going to use a pair of scissors because it'll make it easier to cut the washi tape. These, if you like, these are kind of an embroidery scissor that I got on Amazon. They're just really pretty, but they're super sharp, so be very careful with those if you get them, but they're great for washi tape. All right, so when you get started, you put 2 index cards right next to each other. I'm going to start with Frankie's point of view, which is actually my female character, Mary Frances. And you guys will notice I am not like a stickler for everything being straight. I just like for it to look as pretty as possible. But I like to get those first 2 as close together as I can. What I love about washi tape is then all you have to do is this, and it folds right away. What I find sometimes is that even though I put it pretty evenly, the cards don't want to exactly line up, so you just have to kind of make them line up. But all you do is you put those 2 together, and then you close it like this. Then we're going to add another sheet. And what I like to do, because it's hard to line these up correctly, exactly right, is I just go ahead and put the washi on the edge, and I try to line it up with the ends as best as I can. I go ahead and snip it off, and then I get a new index card, and I just line that up here. And I do the same thing. So now we have our booklet with 2 sheets of the pink point of view. Then I'm going to do just the same thing with 2 sheets of the blue. And it really doesn't have to be perfect. You can always, because of the way washi tape works and it's not like permanent tape, you can always kind of readjust or adjust these so that they are straighter. So now what I have is 2 sheets of pink, 2 sheets of blue for my male character, and I'm going to, actually I didn't set aside a third washi tape, but I like to mix it up with a third, maybe like coordinating washi, to put together a final scenes list. So let's see, I'll just use this one. It's not totally coordinating, but it's close enough. Okay, so there we have the main part of the booklet, and like I said, you can kind of finagle these so the edges match. So don't worry if there's like some sticky parts on the edge, because we're going to cover that. So now you've got, let's see, this is the end of the booklet, so turn it back around to the beginning of the booklet right here, and I'm going to, let's just use the blue here on the outside. Actually, no, I think I'm going to use the pink on the outside. So what you want to do is you want to get the edges the way that you want them to be, so that the corners of the cards are lined up. And then you want to take your washi tape and, sorry, you want to put it on the edge here. And the thicker the booklet is, the more like a regular washi tape is not going to cover the entire side. So with a thicker booklet, I use 2. So you can see I kind of anchored it out further, and then it only covered the spine of the booklet, but not the front. Oops, not the front. So then I'm going to actually take a second piece of tape here in the front and just leave a little bit of a lip out there, the edge. And you just fold the remaining washi tape over, and there you have it. This is our portable plot notes booklet. Now, I do have the book I just finished, Beyond the Darkness, is filled out, but I feel like I can't really go over that because there might be some people that have not read the book yet that watch this channel, and if they see it, they'll get spoilers, so I don't want to do that. But I will show you, I'll try to speed it up so you'll see kind of what I do. Now you can take and use this with whatever plotting method you use. So if you like, you know, a certain kind of plotting method that uses a certain style of story structure, like the Screenwriting Tricks for Authors, or the Hero's Journey, or the Take Off Your Pants series, or Rock Your Plot, whichever ones you use for plotting, whatever notes you need, of course you can fill this out the way that you need to fill it out. But I will just show you kind of how I do it. So I'm going to take these colors that I have, and you guys will notice I love lettering, but I am not very good at it. So forgive me for not being a beautiful lettering person. Okay, so of course you can decorate the front however you want. You could print out a book cover and put it on there. So what I do on this first page is, I'm gonna set this over here so I can look and see what I did before. Just to make it pretty, I will often highlight kind of this middle section here. And then I will take like a black marker, and I will put in my character's name. So this is Frankie's point of view. Then what I will start to do is I will fill in different things. So I like to write out threads, like especially if this is a series book, I'll write the word threads here so that I can make bullet notes here of the different story threads that I want to carry through. So for Sacrifice Me, I might want to say her search for the Crow Witch, And I think you get the idea that I could at this point go in and put any number of threads, like story things I want to carry through from the first book. Then I will also often put like, what are my story questions? So I'll put the word questions here. I will write out different things that I maybe haven't worked out yet, or things that I know the readers might be asking. So it might be something like, is she going to find her mother? Will she still be in love with Rend? You know, different things like that. So I might have some story questions there. Then what I also do is I usually have a little triangle that I draw out. If you're familiar with James Scott Bell's Write Your Story from the Middle, he talks about this triangle, so I'm not really going to go into what it means exactly, but you will understand it. And if you go grab that book, which I'll link below, you will see what I'm talking about with the story triangle. So here I would mark like where my character is in the beginning, and I would write some things out. Then this would be my character's mirror moment, and I like to usually write that right up here. And then here is like the transformation moment at the end. Then I also like to draw a box down here. I would usually use a ruler, but my videos are already so long. Okay, so then I draw 3 sections here and just a little thing down the middle. So if you're familiar with Deborah Dixon's GMC, which is goal, motivation, conflict, you'll understand what I'm doing here. But this is, I like to write, this is kind of backwards, but I like to write the inner conflict first and the outer conflict second. And then G, which is goal, M for motivation, and C for conflict. And I would fill out this character, Frankie's, inner goal, her inner conflict, her inner motivation, and so on. So I would fill that out, and sometimes I like to kind of just add a little bit of color to it so it's, you know, it's a little prettier. Okay, so over here on the second sheet, I like to write out the conflict. Now I know I did just write the conflict down here, but I like to kind of expand on it, and I like to write out what my bad scenario, like what's a bad thing that could happen to her in relation to the conflict and the story question, what's a worse thing that could happen to her, and what's the worst possible thing that could happen to Frankie, because I find that when I'm plotting, that just kind of keeps me on target in terms of where I am and what I can do, because my story changes as I write, and I like to have those notes with me just as little reminders. So I also will often use James Scott Bell's book Superstructure to plot my novels. So I would, at this point, write in everything for the different acts. So I'm going to go ahead and just write those things out. So like I said, you could use any type of plotting structure here that you want. It doesn't really matter, just whichever ones you use. So I'm using like several different types of plotting structures here. And I would just go ahead and fill out the rest of that on this second page. I'm not going to do it now, but you would get the idea. I would go on through whatever's Act 2 and then Act 3. So this page would be filled up. I also, at the very end, like to just put in a little thing down here that says character arc. Then I will put, this plays into that same triangle, but I like to keep this front and center, like where they are before the story begins and where they end up after. I'm not sure if you guys can really see that. Let me pull this up. So then down here, the before and after. Then on the second page is where I start my scenes list for this particular character. So I would do another just little pretty little header there, and then I would take my black marker and I usually just write the word scenes. And then what I do is I just make a bullet point list of the different scenes in the book. So this is just, sometimes these are just brainstormer, like the superstructure will be the main milestone points of the story, but that doesn't tell you every single scene in the book. So I will start brainstorming, and they won't always be in order. Sometimes I do this on another sheet of paper before I take this one out, but sometimes I just do it here too, because I'll write down notes when I have just a few minutes here and there when I'm out. So then what I would do is move on to the second point of view. And what I would do is repeat the same exact things that I did before. Okay, so now when I get to this very end 2 pages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out, I'm going to leave this, I usually leave this page blank because I like to leave it open for notes as things occur to me. And then I also like to use this second page again, similar to what I just did. And I'm going to write out the word scenes. And instead of doing a single point of view here, I'm going to start to mix them. And so what I like to do is if the first scene of the book is a Frankie scene, I will put it in there. And I will actually also write here at the top, Act 1. So as I go through it, I've got all the scenes listed out in order this time. Act 1, Act 2, and so on. And I put a little pink dot if it's Frankie's scene, a blue dot if it's Ren's scene. And that usually, writing out the scenes like really detailed, is usually going to take up the rest of this booklet for me. So it'll be every little minor detail, like exactly what's happening in that scene. So there you have it, a portable plot notes booklet that is easy to carry around, lightweight, and very inexpensive. I hope this has given you some ideas on how you can use these tools to plot your own novel and carry your notes with you wherever you go so that you can be distraction free and not be checking your phone and your Facebook notifications while you're trying to write. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so that you can be notified next time my new video goes up. All right, you guys, thanks so much. Bye.